Hello, and welcome to the virtual viewership of the AME Zion Church and our virtual guest viewership from around the entire globe on tonight. We are blessed and pleased to have you join us on tonight. My name is Darren Kent, and I'm the Chief Communications Officer of the AME Zion Church, as well as the editor of the Star of Zion, which is the capacity on which I'm speaking to you on tonight. Now, we are coming to you tonight to offer you exclusive Star of Zion programming entitled When Freedom Speaks, which is an ongoing series that we currently are offering that gives you real good introspect and a look at our AME Zion leadership and also highlights health topics on a monthly basis. So now would be the time for you to hit the share button to let your friends and your family know that we're live. Go ahead and hit that share button. Go ahead and drop a comment. Let us know where you're at and enjoy this informative session that we're going to have on tonight. We have none other than the chair of the communications board, the presiding prelate of the Alabama-Florida Episcopal District of the AME Zion Church, and the 103rd elected bishop in the line of succession, joining us to discuss the topic on a mission to communicate for Christ. That's none other than the Bishop George D. Crenshaw. Bishop, thank you for joining us on tonight. How are you, sir?
I'm doing delightful. Thank you for the invitation to come and share on tonight.
Amen. Now, Bishop, candidly, I stay behind the scenes all the time. And when you said, I would love for you to be the one that actually has the interview with you, I said, okay, Bishop, this is a challenge and I'm up for it. So I appreciate you extending the invitation to be the one that actually speaks to you on tonight. And I'm eager to hear from you. I want to learn, and I know our audience wants to learn as well. So let's get right into it. In your own words, Bishop, I have a question for you. In your own words, what does it mean to be a bishop in the AME Zion Church?
Brother Darren, first of all, thank you for having me, and thank you for the tremendous job you're doing for the AME Zion Church as our Chief Communication Officer. Being a bishop in the AME Zion Church, really, you can't put it into words. You have the opportunity to not just establish policy, but more than that, you have the opportunity to change lives. You have the opportunity to assign district officers and conference officers who work with local congregations, work with their missionary departments, whom you just had on just a few moments ago, work with their Christian education department. I'm a product of Christian education. I remember my youth director, Sister Judith Story, would pick us up in her big Econoline van, and she'd have 15 or 16 of us in the van. She would always say, girls on the seat, boys on the floor. We didn't care. We were with our youth director. Have the privilege of assigning pastors whom God places on my heart to lead congregations. And you also, and more maybe as important, you're the denominational leader and ecumenical partner with our brothers and sisters who are just as committed to sharing the gospel around the globe. Being a bishop is the dream that I've had for many years.
So being a bishop comes with everything that you just said. I want you to do us a favor and make it real practical for us. We have obviously Zionites watching from all over the globe right now, but we also have special guests that are watching from all over the globe as well that don't know much about Zion. So if you could just be able to explain our current structure, our infrastructure. How does it work? How many bishops do we have? And give us like the flow chart to make it as clear as possible for us.
All right. Let me start from the bottom up, and then I'll go from the top down.
Okay.
We have local churches. We have local congregations who are assigned a pastor. A number of congregations in a regional area, we call that a district. A number of districts together make up for what we will call an annual conference or a conference. A number of conferences geographically connected makes up the Episcopal district. Pastor churches, presiding elders preside over the districts, and the bishop is the presiding officer of the annual conference and the Episcopal district. All of the Episcopal districts together come together to make our connectional church. So that's our structure as it relates to the churches and the conferences. But then you have the board of bishops, you have general officers, connectional council, board of bishops meetings. We have each of our departments, missionaries, Christian Ed, lay council, men of Zion, women rock, any number of the presiding elders council, any number of departments who all of us are working together to try to provide leadership and direction for our great AME Zion Church. And with this understanding that no entity is any greater than the other, but that working together is what works.
Why would you say it's set up like that? I mean, if you can go back in the history, of just Methodism in general, that there are these checks and balances from all over to make sure that, this body is watching this body and that they're having to, have approval processes. And we'll get into a lot of that later on in the session. But if you could just dabble in that just a little for us to make that clear.
Well, the foundational element for us is accountability.
That's it.
In it, whatever is expected must be inspected. So we have presiding elders who then inspect at the quarterly conference as to whether or not the church is fulfilling the mission that it is designed to fulfill. We have then presiding bishops who inspect as to whether or not the presiding elders have done their job. Then we have the board of bishops who inspects whether individual bishops have completed the task that they've been assigned by the general conference. And then we have the general conference itself, which has an opportunity then to receive our reports and determine whether we have led with the character and the consciousness that every bishop should lead.
Wow. Yeah, thank you for that breakdown. I mean, when I first came to Zion many years ago now, I ended up at Greater Centennial. I went there because I just saw it as a dynamic ministry, did not know how much of a connectional ministry it was. And when I started to travel the church later on, I started to see how vast and connected we were. I mean, speak to that just a little bit, that you can go pretty much anywhere in the entire United States for the most part, and then even globally, and still be connected.
Well, let me start by saying I met your former pastor of Greater Centennial, Bishop W. Darren Moore, when he was a candidate for a youth council office in Birmingham, Alabama. He was visiting with Reverend Dr. George McCain, who was running for the chairperson of then VCYC. I met them there in Birmingham, and then we were together in '82 on the campus of Livingstone College at the Christian Education Quadrennial meeting. And most of the persons who I serve with now, I've met somewhere along the line at a connectional meeting, at a Board of Bishops meeting, a connectional council, a youth council, or Christian education meeting. We used to say Zion anywhere is Zion everywhere. If you're a member of the AME Zion Church, it doesn't matter where you are just as much a member at that location. And that's why in our law, we have what we call affiliate membership. So if you are a college student or you're in the service, in the armed service, you can move to any place. And if we have a church there, you can join under affiliate membership and be active in that church and share your gifts with those local congregations.
Amazing. Blessed to be a part of a church that is able to be so connected and to have this sort of infrastructure. It's like nothing I've ever seen before, and something that I cherished as I get to know more and more about the church. Listen, I do want to stop for a second here, our virtual audience. This is not just Brother Darren Kent, DK, giving questions to our bishop. You yourself can give questions to Bishop, and you can drop that into the chat. If you're watching on YouTube right now, you can drop a question there. If you are looking on Facebook, you can do it there as well. And then I'll try to get to the questions, and if a good one comes up, we'll pose it to the bishop and have him answer it live right now. Okay, so here we go. A few more questions from me. So I want to get now into the man George D. Crenshaw. Excuse me, I would never call your name if I weren't trying to make a point right here, but not Bishop George D. Crenshaw, but George. And tell us a little bit about your life. When did you give your life to Christ?
I gave my life to Christ as an 7 or 8-year-old back at McCalla Chapel, AME Zion Church in McCalla, Alabama.
Whoa.
The Reverend G.W. Brown was the pastor of my local church. And it's amazing that he is the pastor who baptized me. And last October, I gave him a pastoral appointment. So life has absolutely come full circle. So I am the son of a wonderful mother and father. They had 10 children together. My grandfather, of course, served as presiding elder of the Selma district of the Cahaba Annual Conference. And for my teenage years, when I started driving, I was his driver. So I had the privilege of taking him to his quarterly conference, going across the Edmus Pettus Bridge. And he would always state something historical when we go across that bridge, and sitting in the quarterly conferences, watching him conduct quarterly conference. So I'm a kid who grew up in the church, but I'm honest now, church didn't always grow up in me. I was on the premises, but I wasn't always on the promises.
Tell the truth, Bishop. Tell the truth. Shame the devil.
So, but I was there, and if you stay around the fire long enough, you'll get burned. That's who I am.
Now, all right. You said 10. So, I have 2 little ones that are coming on the way now. I'm going to have 4. What number are you out of 10?
I'm 3rd from the bottom. And I told my mom, I said, you guys should have stopped at 8. She said, well, your dad said we should have stopped at 7. I said, well, let's go on there.
Yo, that's crazy. That is hilarious. Okay, I just need to know that just so we can talk offline about it. If you were going to say 4, I was going to be like, I need some advice. Tell me, Bishop. Tell me how they're going to act. All right. Tell me, at what point did you feel God's calling for you to lead in ministry? Now, it's different. I actually put that in the question. You can be in ministry, and everybody leads in their own way, and some of the leading is just kind of reserved, right? You can lead as an usher, you can lead as the sexton of the church, but leading in ministry at your capacity, when did you kind of feel that call?
Well, I grew up in a very affirming AME Zion Church, and I believe every church has a gifting and a calling. The calling of my local church is to develop young people. That's what my local church do best. They take young people and nurture them in such a way that they have the confidence to step out and to try God and to be a part of the leadership. So my home church has always nurtured us. I can't tell you at what age I started being the pulpit conductor on Youth Sunday. You wasn't Mr. of Ceremony, you was the pulpit conductor. And I had that kind of love and support all around me. Before the church moved closer, we would have to cross a 4-lane highway to get there. And we would go to the church, about a mile walk, rain or sunshine, it didn't matter, about a mile walk. And we would have Sunday school and have morning worship, and then a meal after church, because we were going to have VCE, Varied Christian Endeavor Society. So again, I grew up in church. Church didn't always grow up in me, but this is one of those occasions that is imprinted in my memory. And it was in 1972, in August of 72. My mother said to me on a Saturday, George, I want you to go with me to the church today. It was early morning, and it was checkup meeting. I had no idea what that was. She said, I want you to go with me. And I asked, I said, remember, I'm number 7 now, number 8 now. I said, now, is Tina and Reginald going? My 2 younger ones? She said, no, they're not going. I said, why do I have to go? It's Saturday. She walked me across the highway. So now what kid not going to walk his mom across the highway? So I walk across the highway. It's checkup meeting. I have no idea what that is. I've never even seen a checkup meeting. Bishop James Clinton Hogarth has just been elected that May of 1972 and had been assigned to the North Alabama Annual Conference. It's at my home church. And my mom is the usher, is one of the ushers. So I'm sitting beside her last seat in the last row in the church. The choirs are just singing and they're having a great time. Bishop Hogarth, if you know Bishop Hogarth, he's fashionably late. It's about 15 minutes to 11 for a 10 o'clock checkup meeting. When he drives up on the ground with the caravan that brought him in, they said, the bishop is here. Singing, cease, talking over.
Wow.
And in come the procession. And when they first started moving, everybody stood. My mother said, stand up, son. I stand up, and they're walking in, and the farther they get, the older they're getting. That means we're getting to the presiding elders. I understood what a presiding elder was. And then in comes the bishop, Bishop Hogarth, who was very fair-skinned.
Okay.
And remember now, I'm only 8 years old. So I say to my mom, I grab her dress. I said, Mom. She said, yes, son. I said, who's the white man? And the people, she said, he's not white. I said, Mom, you look like that. Hush. I watched Bishop Hogarth for the checkup meeting. I watched it. And I watched how the people responded to him. I watched the level of encouragement and strength that he imparted in them, and how joyful, I mean, genuinely joyful as an 8-year-old could detect that everyone was, because you're watching everything as an 8-year-old. I made up my mind at that moment, as an 8-year-old, at the first checkup meeting, I made up my mind, I want to be a bishop. What? You did it right then? My mind was made up. When I went to school the next day, and then on 2 days later that Sunday, when I went to school, in the 3rd grade, I was swinging on the monkey bars with one of my 3 clip-on ties on, because all the teachers wore ties. Oh my! I just knew that's what I was supposed to do. Now, wait a minute. I got to interject here. You ain't preached a sermon yet. You ain't done nothing in ministry really, other than maybe doing a little like plays at your church. You're only 8 years old, and you said that's all I've done. You saw this and said, "I want to be that man right there." That's what you said. Remember now, my grandfather was presiding elder, so I knew what presiding elder was. So the bishop was the presiding elder's spouse in my mind, my 8-year-old mind. But when I saw the way he encouraged people, and when I saw the way they responded to his leadership, and they had new strength, I wanted to be the person who imparted that into people. And I pray I'm getting close. I'm not there yet, but I pray I'm getting close. Nah, you're doing it, brother. You're doing it. Let me pivot just a little bit. Still speaking about your family. Speak to me about your wife, missionary supervisor Crenshaw, who's a force in her own right. Talk to me about what she means to you and what she means to your family. She is our center. She is the chief negotiator. She's our anchor. She's everything. I've known Ring since I was 9 years old. And at the tender age of 19, she married this idealistic preacher. At the tender age of 19, if my daughter even thought she was getting married at 19, I'd slap her twice. At the age of 19, we got married. I tell people that on a Friday, we had the rehearsal for the wedding. On Saturday, we had the wedding. And on Sunday, we packed up my little Nova and we drove to Indianapolis, Indiana, where I was pastoring, and we've never been home, lived home since that time. So it's just me and Ring. So when we fell out, the only thing we could do was fall back in. Right. Wow. and she's absolutely everything to me. Absolutely everything. That's it right there. I just wanted to bring that to light. I know, behind every great man is a great woman, and they're probably doing, if not more of the work, they're doing a whole bunch of work behind the scenes in order for us to do our job. So without question, I wouldn't be. I'm absolutely honest when I say this. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Rain. I mean, she's been the driving force that gives you the confidence to step out, to try stuff, and to know that home is handled and encouragement is on the road. Oh man, I got it. I got it all. Yeah.
All right. Last question on the family here. Just speak to your children. Speak to what they mean to you, what they meant to your ministry, what they mean to your ministry, and just give us a little bit of taste of feel of that.
All right. So my two children who are left, of course, Quentin has gone on to be with the Lord,
Amen.
but Kennedy and Janae,
Yeah.
and Janae is really our niece, but she's our daughter. Lorena's sister, her baby sister, had a massive heart attack at the age of 35 years old.
Whoa.
And passed. She transitioned, and her mother was the caretaker for Janae. And then her mother, of course, developed a very aggressive form of dementia and transition. So we took Janae. And Janae is just absolutely our heart. She is daughter to us. She's not niece. She is absolute daughter. And both of them are my biggest cheerleaders and my biggest critics. They keep it absolutely real. Kennedy says to me from time to time, Dad, I don't even know why I went to sleep so early last night because I got a good nap during your sermon. I mean,
oh, that's cold. Oh my goodness.
It's just absolutely real. And Janae would chime in. She said, Kennedy, it wasn't that bad. We didn't sleep the whole sermon, just part of it. So they're my encouragement. And they tell me when I've missed the mark.
Yeah, I know about the keep it real. My daughters every day, they tell me, Dad, you need to lose some weight, you know, and I'm just like, y'all just ain't got no filter whatsoever. I mean,
there's no filter.
No filter whatsoever. And
they love you enough to tell you the truth.
Yeah, you got to. They got it. They keep it real with you, and you need people around you like that to be able to tell you the truth. So, that's a blessing, Bishop. That's a blessing. All right. I don't see any questions in the chat. What's up, y'all? Y'all loving this conversation? Drop a comment in the chat. Talk about what we're doing, how you're feeling as you're watching this right now. Hit that share button. Let people know that you're watching. Bishop Crenshaw, Presiding Prelate of the Alabama-Florida Episcopal District of the AME Zion Church. He's on right now. We're going to be on for probably another 20 minutes or so. But let's keep it moving, Bishop, until we get some questions. So, missions, right? Let's go into that world. Now, take me to your assignment. So you have the Alabama-Florida Episcopal District, but a lot of people would say some of your greatest work was just what happened as far as planting and all the churches and ministries that you brought into the General Conference this past quadrennium. So would you speak to that? Take us through that process. Well, first of all, just label them. I mean, you blew my mind earlier today when we had a little bit of a talk. Just go through all of the new additions to our General Conference.
All right. So we brought to the General Conference from Central Southern Africa, we brought 10 new conferences. We brought South Korea, South Angola, Namibia, Malawi, Mozambique, Rwanda, Burundi, Uganda, North Kivu, and South Kivu, which are countries in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Now, people ask me all the time, say, how in the world did you get a church in South Korea? Well, it was just God.
We understand it was just God, but tell us how God worked through you to get that.
This is what happened in 2000. I think it was 7 or 8. We took a trip to Liberia, and we were doing our mission trip. It was our first mission trip, and I met a young brother who was my armor bearer there by the name of Dallas B. George. Okay. And I got to know him very well. Absolutely loved Dallas. Stayed in touch with him. Tried to encourage him along the way. And because of an economic hardship in Liberia, he had to move to South Korea for employment. And he said to me, he says, Bishop, I'm in South Korea. I'm in Seoul, South Korea, but there are no churches here. There are no churches. I said, why not start one? He said, I don't know how. I said, well, God has allowed me to start a church, so I'll show you how. And that's how we started the first church. We named it First AME Zion Church, South Korea. That church grew, so we started a second church. And I named it after Bishop Hogard, who had been such an inspiration for me. We named it Hogard Memorial. AME Zion Church. So that's how we got to South Korea. And again, the South Korea conference won't in all likelihood will not grow to be a major conference, because what you have there are economic refugees from African countries. Sometimes they are permitted to stay in the country, but when there's too many workers from South Korea looking for work, then they're sent out of the country. So it won't grow up to be a great work, but we're there. Yeah, but we're absolutely present. South Angola, that's one of those situations where it really wasn't me. The evangelistic spirit of the Angolans just took over. Bishop Williams is the founder of that work. Bishop Brown did a phenomenal job continuing to grow that work. And when I arrived there, following, of course, our beloved erstwhile senior Bishop Battle, they said to me, to Bishop, we want to go all over Angola. So we want to plant churches plant a conference in South Angola. I said, well, how do we pay for this? They said, Bishop, don't worry. Each of the conferences will send missionaries there and we'll support them until the work catches on.
Oh my goodness. Look at that. Look at God.
Each of the pastors volunteered, listen to this, volunteered to give 25% of their salary, which was already meager, to support the missionaries in South Angola. And that is how we established the South Angola Annual Conference and the Namibia Annual Conference, which is right across the border, a country right across the border from South Angola.
Phew. All right, I'm getting tired just thinking of all the work that you just came through. It's mind-boggling how you were able to do this, and obviously you're not a one-man band. Speak to the people that helped you along to make this happen, and then also, if you could, we were talking about checks and balances in our system as far as the AME Zion Church. Speak to the process of literally bringing it from point A to point B and all the checks and balances you have to go through to have it be presented at the General Conference.
Okay. There's a number of individuals who've been beyond helpful, but let me just list a couple of the folk who are literally on the ground with me. First of all, I'm not certain if the AME Zion Church even realized what it did when it elected Dwight Cannon. Dwight Cannon is a gem beyond gem. I mean, he has missionary stamped on his birth certificate. I mean, he came out the womb trying to be mission-minded. And having lived in South Africa for a while, when the Board of Bishops said to me at the Board of Bishops retreat in 2017, they said, we had work in Malawi and Mozambique. For some reason, we no longer have that work. We want you to see if it's work we can bring back. I asked Dr. Cannon and I asked Dr. Eliezer Merriweather, who had been one of the liaisons there. I said, I want you all to go with me when I have this conversation with them, because you all were there when Zion left.
Wow. So
they went with me. We met with the leadership there, and after they left the restaurant, I sat there. They spoke very plain, very direct to me, told me exactly what had happened, and told me how it was we can bring them back. So even though I get the credit, it's Dwight Cannon and Eliezer Merriweather, along with Dr. Harry Spigner and Anthony Witherspoon, who was tremendously helpful and supportive in bringing the Malawi and Mozambique work back into the AME Zion Church.
That's amazing. Yeah, we need to hear these names. We need to see that there are things working behind the scenes and the process.
And also, let me just mention this. Yeah. We have, that I know of, our only orphanage, Mayoni Orphanage in Blantyre, Malawi, that we support. We supported as an Episcopal district, and Bishop Lante is doing a phenomenal job. I've seen some of the things they're doing. He's doing a phenomenal job in supporting the work in Malawi and that orphanage.
That's it right there. Yeah. All right. Give us a story, and we do have a few questions in the chat. I do see them. I promise I'm gonna get to a few of them. I have a few more questions just to wrap up this piece as far as missions is concerned, and then we'll talk about communications next. Give us a story, just where you had to trust God. You were working overseas, you had the ministry going, and you had to trust Him to get to the next level. You gave us a few, but if you could be intentional about one that sticks out to you.
All right, let me do two quick ones.
Okay.
We were in Zimbabwe, and they overthrew the president while we were there, and the city went into a total riot. And I wouldn't post it on Facebook, or I would have scared my family. And so I didn't put it on Facebook. But outside the hotel were not armed guards, but were armed citizens who were warring with each other. And we did not miss one day of annual conference. We continued with the annual conference. So that was one of those occasions where I had to trust the Lord. A second one would be, we were at the Bay of Bengal in India. And I was just dressed casually, and we were touring after annual conference. And some of the Hindu residents recognized that I had some leadership position in church, which is why I would be there with other Indian brothers and sisters. And they started to rush the van we were in, seeking to pull us out. And Krupanan Mayor, we call him Ravi, and his wife Florence, who is missionary of the year, of the century, they drove directly toward the people, and they had to dive out of the way because he would not stop that van under any circumstances.
Oh my God.
So now let me just throw a word here about India, and Bishop Leak is doing a phenomenal job with India right now. When Full Gospel left the AME Zion Church, the India work went with them. They all left, with the exception of one family, Krupanan and Florence Mayer. And Mayor and Florence Krupanan, I apologize. And her father was the leader of the church in India, but he went with Dr. Cherry. In the middle of the night, when Florence and her husband, Robbie, said, "We're not going. We don't feel led to go." He put them out with nothing. Bishop Williams, who is such a tremendous visionary, he allowed his Episcopal district to support this couple, to make sure that they could live. They started a new ministry. They named it Bishop Williams. Bishop Milton A. Williams, AME Zion Church. And they grew the work in India from one to, I think Bishop Leak told me, they now have 932 congregations in India.
Oh my Lord.
And it's because of this couple, with the support that they've had from Bishop Williams, Bishop Brown, Bishop Hunter, and then I had a chance to serve for Quadrennium, giving them the resources necessary, and they've grown that work tremendously. And they're doing it under a great level of oppression because the India Parliament passed a law very recently that says if you are caught preaching the gospel, seeking to convert persons from Hinduism to Christianity, you will be incarcerated.
Oh my God.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I can only imagine. And we have a question that kind of, is going to summarize what I'm saying here. Just the amount of oppression that they're going through over there. And for us to still have churches over there, ministries over there, that they're trying their hardest to be able to spread the gospel. I mean, when you look at that and see that, does that blow your mind that they're sacrificing? And we're talking about what we're doing over here in the States.
But let me tell you this, DK.
The fact that we don't get up because it snows, and we don't go to church because it snows and stuff like that. And what they're doing over there, they can go to jail. Like,
I'm telling you, and listen, a few years ago, about 3 or 4 years ago now, on Palm Sunday, some Hindu individuals went to one of our churches, a block church, and took a bulldozer and started pushing the church down while the persons were in the church. They grabbed the pastor of the church, pulled him out of the church, threw blood on him, put him on a donkey, and paraded him through town as if he was Jesus. Now, I'm telling you, when you see the oppression
What did
that
you just
they're
say?
under, and then you stand there as bishop with an appointments in your hands, and you have to say, behold, I send you like sheep in the midst of wolves.
My God.
Be humble, yet be wise.
Wow.
Be wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. I mean, and Jesus, and I'm sitting there, and these words of Jesus come to mind, and I got to say to myself, because of this authority the church has given me, I got to look at these people, my brothers and sisters whom I love, and say, I send you out.
Yeah, right.
As sheep in the midst of woods. I'm sending you. And praying to God that you make it back to annual conference alive.
I can't believe what you just said. I mean, I think everybody watching right now, I see the comments coming in. Look at these comments. You see this? Outstanding testimony. My God, brother, unbelievable. I just got to take a second to kind of just wrap my head around the fact that you just said you had to pull a pastor out of a church, and then the heaviness that must be upon you when you're thinking about giving an appointment or elevating anybody. Now you got to have all that in the back of your mind when you're doing that, when you're giving these appointments, to say, did I just set them up for their death sentence? Like you said, will I see them again next year? All because of my appointment, what God told me to do. That's remarkable.
And then to stand in America and pass an appointment out, or talk to a person about appointment, and they said, Bishop, how far is it?
Right.
How far is it? I just left Africa, where a brother wanted me to give him a bicycle so that he could ride 35 miles to the church. And there was no salary. They were going to pound him. He was going to get a chicken and some vegetables. And he was proud to go. And you want to know how far it is?
I've heard stories about, when annual conference is going on, that they walk in miles to come to annual conference.
And not just walking miles, but even in a very developed country like Angola, which I absolutely love Angola. But when persons come to the annual conference, they don't come prepared to stay in a hotel.
Where to stay?
They bring mats that have been rolled up, and they were either going to sleep on the pews, they're going to sleep on the church floor, or they're going to sleep in the courtyard.
And what happens in the rain, Bishop? They just outside in the rain,
if it rains, but the courtyard is sort of covered by some of the buildings. It's a covered courtyard. Let me say that.
Yeah.
And then they have some educational facilities that they will go into. But if it's not raining, and you got to remember, in Africa, you have rainy season. And you have seasons where it's not going to rain. Okay. So persons will sleep there and wake up the next morning. And we're going to be at church probably by 9 o'clock. I'm going to get there by 8:45. I've had breakfast. I'm going to get there by 8:45. When I arrive at the church, the chairs on the outside of the building that's under the tent with the speakers are all full. They're already full. There is no seat left in the sanctuary. The only seat left in the sanctuary are the ones that I'm going to sit in and the presiding elder is going to sit in. Every other chair is filled. And not only the chairs now, but the stairs going up the steps. They also have 2 or 3 people sitting on each of the stairs. On the outside of the building, people are stationed at the windows so they can see inside of the building. And here's the thing that blows my mind. When you walk in, everyone is immaculately dressed. I mean, immaculately dressed. And in that area of Africa, the director of the women's ministry called the presidents for the districts who tell the churches what color they're going to wear. And that's why every sister will have the same color on with the AME Zion emblem made in their garment. It is the most awesome experience one could possibly have to have
Unbelievable.
served the continent of Africa and India. I mean, you just couldn't ask for any more. You couldn't ask for any more.
And when you juxtapose that again with what we're dealing with here in the States, it's so important that we hear these stories, and we've got to speak offline about how we now can communicate to them, but also get the communication is a two-way street, right? So we got to hear their stories. Now it's nothing but a link that's being sent to somebody in Nigeria or Liberia or wherever it may be, and they can hop right on and be able to tell us this verbatim from their own lips. And
Darren, somebody said to me, says, Bishop, tell me the difference between how people treat you in Africa and they treat you in America. I said, well, when you arrive in Africa, when I arrived in Africa.
Look at this question. Look at that question right there. The biggest difference between the international work and the stateside work. Look at that. Ain't that's probably the same person. Go ahead.
All right, I'm gonna try to answer this question, but let me tell this story real quick, Haven. When we first went to Angola, and you can see it on my Facebook page, there were 1,000 ladies in purple dresses singing, and there were another 500 people who was there to receive the bishop. There were so many people there that the airport authority called Bernardo Ngunza, the administrative assistant. They called him after I left to the airport and told him, you can't bring that many people to the airport. It shut down the airport. So they said to them, you can only bring a maximum of 500 people to meet your bishop. That's all you can bring from now on. Only 500 can come to the airport. Okay, so they passed out tickets to local churches like we passed out tickets to the home mission banquets. So those are the persons coming to receive the bishop. So when they asked me, what's the difference? I said, when I fly to Angola, they greet me with 500 people. And when I fly to a church in America, they send me a note and said, Bishop, Uber driver is going to pick you up.
Totally different. Oh my gosh. So true though. Oh my goodness. Wow.
The biggest difference between international work and stateside work,
what would you say
is number one is the commitment of the persons who are working. In Africa, it is their joy to go through the various trials. There's no inconvenience too severe that it will dampen their enthusiasm. If it rains, they don't mind standing in the rain. I mean, there have been times I flew in the crowd waiting for the bishop to arrive, standing there in the rain. Nothing is going to dampen their enthusiasm for the work of God. And they have, so we have finances, they have people. That's the major difference. We have finances, but they have people.
Wow. Yeah, and thank you for that question, Pastor Haven, because that's exactly where I was going. I wanted to know what is the difference? Why don't we have the same vigor that they have over there? I guess they just appreciate it more. Is that what it is?
But when one struggles, one relies on God at a different level.
Yeah. That's it.
When one is dealing with a level of desperation,
that's it.
They hold on to God differently.
That's it.
I went to a hospital here in America. I went to a hospital of a person whose child was in ICU, and it didn't look good. And they were saying to me, they said, Bishop, come on, I want you to meet the mother. I want to show you the mother. So you don't have to tell me who the mother is. I can tell who the mother is because that's the one who's praying the loudest and with the most sincerity, because she's at a point of desperation. Well, that is the difference. Our brothers and sisters, they embrace God in a different way because of where they are financially. And I want to say this. Let me just add this quickly.
Yeah.
We have genuine love and worship for God in America, no doubt about that.
Right.
But they have a passion that is unrivaled. It's just unrivaled on that continent. They dance when they worship. They dance when they bring their offering. We were in Angola at Summer Institute, and because of the war there, the plumbing and the infrastructure had been torn up, had just been torn up in the city.
Right.
So they have a commode, but there's no running water to it. So there's a barrel there that you just take a dipper, pour it into the bowl, and it'll flush itself, no problem. They have a person in Angola, God knows, who was stationed outside the bathroom that they would only allow Americans to use. And after each American used that bathroom, that person would go into the bathroom with a mop, and they would mop the water that dripped on the floor when you transferred the water from the barrel to the commode.
Oh my
Now,
God.
we talk about radical hospitality, and I start laughing because radical hospitality is when you are sweeping the floor or mopping the floor of a bathroom that you yourself won't even use. Now, that's radical hospitality.
Radical hospitality. Whew. I need to travel. That's my takeaway from this is I need to be able to see this because I don't think you really get it. And I'm glad you're saying this for everybody to watch and to watch on replay later on. But I don't think you really get it until you've experienced it. Like you got to go over there to experience. Wasn't it different hearing about it and then actually seeing it? Can you speak to that just a little bit?
But see, you know, the Lord is so kind. He put people in your space that you don't expect. When I was at Shaw, Ayabade Baisalo, who's a pediatrician here in Atlanta area, and Andrea Afalabi Jala, who's an RN here in the area. They're both members of Shaw. They said to me, Bishop, we want to take a mission trip to Liberia. Well, the only thing I knew about Africa is what I saw on Saturday morning, and I wasn't trying to feel that. So they came in, they gave me their pitch, and I would give them reasons why we can't go. We need to do this and do that. And finally, God said to me, you're going. So we took our first trip. And I'm telling you, we were treated with such love and hospitality that I fell in love with Africa. I mean, I literally fell in love with Africa. Just absolutely love it. And so having the opportunity to go back and forth has been tremendous. And you know, I was delighted that General Conference assigned me home to Alabama-Florida, but I was even more delighted when they allowed me to keep the last 5 conferences that we brought into Connectional. I was just over the moon. The General Conference couldn't send me anywhere any better than to send me back home and then to give me the privilege to keep ministering to Africa. So we're going. We're going to go and we will publicize it when we get ready to go. Please. But this is why we have slowed. This is why we haven't gone yet, because we were hoping to go in March and April. Okay. And this is just real talk. Many folks haven't been to Africa before, and they have a fear of the unknown. No doubt about that. Right. So can you imagine being in Africa? Everyone has gotten there. You passed your COVID test. You're there. But on the way back, we're getting ready to leave. You got to take your COVID test 2 days before, and someone gets a note that says you are COVID positive. And I would have to leave that person on the continent of Africa who's never been there before. You can't do that. Just can't do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the checkup meetings next month via Zoom, and we will then do annual conferences in the November, December time frame. Okay. All right.
Whew. I want to get off missions, but this is so rich. One more question on this. We have it from Rennie Lee. I'm going to put it on the screen right now. Is the reception of the indigenous bishops the same as American bishops assigned to the area?
Okay. I can tell you that Hillard Dogby and UU Effion are heroes in their Episcopal district. Yes. Their areas absolutely love them. But they love them because they've served. And they served the American bishops who were there. They were lieutenants for them. And they have credibility because they watched them serve those who were sent beforehand. My grandfather said this to me. He said, son, never seek to be in authority if you're not willing to be under authority. So you have 2 bishops who is under the authority of those who are assigned to them. They serve them with stellar leadership. And now they are absolutely loved and adored in the Episcopal area. And we're looking forward to Central Southern Africa being indigenous at the 2024 General Conference. And there is an individual who I'm praying will be elected, the gentleman who served Bishop Williams, Bishop Brown, Bishop Battle, myself, and now is serving Bishop Latte. He's the ideal person for it. And if I'm campaigning, Dr. Sadler, forgive me.
He's not watching, trust me. If he is, I'll talk to him about it later. Oh man. Okay. All right. We have to pivot. We only have a few more minutes, even though we do have all the time in the world. If you want us to keep going, right, keep going in the chat. Okay. Communications. We have a few comments that were left and questions, but I have one that's going to jump us off in this world. Just take us through what the communications department's vision role from your perspective is supposed to be. And then, take us through what it means to be board chair over the communications department.
Okay. I saw a study not long ago that said 20% of Americans receive their news via newspaper. Only 20%.
20%.
At the General Conference spoke, and the General Conference said, let's take a step forward. We appreciate every person who served because they served with dignity and class, and they moved us forward. And now we build on that which they've given us. We don't dismiss their service because we couldn't go forward without what they left for us as a tremendous foundation. And we appreciate all of their sacrifices. But we're in a digital age now, and electronic communication is where our world is now. So now we have Connectional Council, a Board of Bishops meeting that is virtual and was produced in an outstanding manner that everyone appreciated. And we have this Zion Speaks series where persons get to hear the heart of the bishop, not an annual conference, but in a casual setting like this, when freedom speaks. So all of these innovations build on what was left for us. I believe we honor every person who has served in this position as editor of the Star of Zion or chief communication officer. I believe we honor them by building on what they left us.
That's right. That's it.
That's why I'm absolutely excited to serve as the chair of communications. And I've been before God and said, God, what is our next step? Where do we go next? And as I told you, the Lord said to me just as clearly as I'm sitting here, AME Zion TV. And I'm going to say to everyone who's listening that I have given the challenge to Brother Darren Kent to put together AME Zion Television. And he's prepared tonight to say a couple of words on that. And I am asking each of you, when you hear it, get in where you fit in. I want your worship service streamed on AME Zion TV. I want to hear your choir. I want to hear your teaching. I want the departments, the Christian Aid, Missionary, Lake Council, men and women of Men of Zion, Women of Rock, all the different departments. We want you to be a part of this so that we can place the AME Zion Church virtually everywhere 24/7.
It says it on the screen right now. Would you speak more about virtual AMEZ and the untapped potential, right, of what this open space can provide for the AME Zion denomination. My board chair told me right out the gate, this is where we need to go. This is the future, and we will never leave the past. We will be able to brace it and marry it together. And we are on the cusp now of being able to present to you a platform that takes every aspect of what you're trying to do on a weekly basis. This live video here, another live video over there, just the fact that you're friends with somebody and you get an alert on your phone, but then somebody's not friends with that person on Facebook and doesn't get the alert. The fact that this person is not following. We're trying to bring it all together. So we're going to introduce AME Z TV. It's going to be an app. It's going to be a platform, a one-stop shop. One area is going to be intertwined within our website as well. And you're going to be able to go there and you're going to be able to watch and view all of the content throughout the AME Zion Church. We're going to have original series just like you would Netflix. We're going to engage people that are already doing original series. I know you see all of the great content that's been across our denomination, all of the talk shows, things just like this. And we're going to engage these people and say, hey, would you want to come on and be a part of AME Z TV? And one of the most powerful things that we're going to do is we're going to tap into our live streaming through this platform. You're going to be able to get this one app, get this one website, notifications, one area, and then hopefully we'll be able to get all of our bishops and Episcopal areas on one accord where we're streaming to one location. And you can have the option to watch all of the annual conferences, the checkup meetings, and everything else that's going on across the church, even the leadership training institutes that are all going on, everything that's virtual now and everything that will be going back in person from time to time. So we're going to be unveiling this very soon. I'm not going to give you an exact date because I don't want y'all to, cut my head off if it doesn't happen at that specific time, but it's working. It's up and running behind the scenes right now. We're doing beta tests right now. So get ready for that. Start building your content now. That's why there's a method to our madness of having these type of events that we're doing on and trying to see what you are looking at, what you're wanting to see, right? You love our leadership. So we've been featuring our bishops. You love the health topics. So we've been trying to give you more and more of that. And then some are not performing as well. We'd be able to say, certain things we won't entertain, but we're trying to just see what's working right now. So it's important that you give us feedback, that you give us some sort of barometer as to where we are and what we're doing, and let us know if we're going in the right direction. But this is happening. I appreciate the board chair for the challenge. And, I'm blessed to be in a position to be able to try to get this up and running for the denomination moving forward. So, Bishop, tell me, we're going to wrap this up now and go to maybe one or two questions that have been in the chat and things of that nature. I want to speak to just now Zion in general. And that's if you are ready to move on from communications. That's correct? You're right? Yes. Okay, cool. So, speak to the Freedom Church. What does it mean for you and your family? How rich is our history, and how should we embrace this and talk about this moving forward? We are the biggest bulletin boards and billboards for our denomination. So what should we have? What's our elevator pitch when we meet somebody and we want to talk about our great denomination to somebody else?
I say this as a fifth generation Zionite. The AME Zion Church is a beacon of salvation. It's a beacon of hope. The AME Zion Church stood on the vanguard of change and led the civil rights movement in Alabama. And from there, it went across the world. It was in the basement of the Mount Zion AME Zion Church. We call it the old Mount Zion now, which is being fully restored, by the way. Amen. That Martin King was elected president of MIA. It's persons like H.K. Matthews and Snowden Solomon Say and other great Zionites who stood shoulder to shoulder with other individuals from other ecumenical bodies. When Dr. King needed a wife, where did he go? He came to Zion and picked up Sister Coretta. So the AME Zion Church has we've always been that beacon of hope. We've always been that church that was at the forefront of the civil rights movement. But here we are now in 2022. And I would say this as a bishop of the church and I hope a brother beloved. Our message is current, but some of our methods are now outdated. And we got to pay some attention to that. We got to give careful attention to that. We got to ask ourselves, how do we, as good Methodists, follow the Wesley boys and serve this present age? Well, the Board of Bishops have been given direction in that. If you heard the Board of Bishops quadrennial address, which we gave via Zoom or Teams back in 2020, July of 2020, we talked about back then the whole idea of virtual memberships. That's right. That you can have a membership that is totally virtual, and you can have memberships that are in person. So the board is embracing this new moment, and we're embracing this new movement. The day of the way we did it, that day will never be back. We will always be an in-person and a virtual church. Before COVID, before my election, we were streaming the 8 o'clock and 11 o'clock services at Shaw Temple, right. And persons were sitting on the beach with their iPad, watching the worship service and hitting PayPal, giving their offering, and then jumping in the water. Or they were down at the Dome, having 8 o'clock service down at the Dome, and then tailgating before the Falcons would unfortunately lose another game. So this idea of persons will always be in the sanctuary, that day's over.
That's it.
We're going to have to become comfortable with hybrid worship. There will be some persons who are in place, and there'll be some persons who will be in another place. But we cannot in any way consider that they love God any less. We're in a new space.
That's right. All right, Bishop. I'm going to give you 2 more questions. I have a great one from Pastor Fight. Throw it up on the screen here, and then I'll ask my closing question, and we'll get out of here. Bishop, what advice would you give to ministers on balancing family and all of the other demands of your position?
This is what I would say. Let's look carefully at what is to be the most important aspect of our lives and the order that they should arrive. And I believe they are this way. Number 1 is God. Number 2 is family. And number 3 is church. And there's a difference between God and the church. I said to the ministers when I was at Shaw Temple, I want everyone to have a sermon in your pocket or in your iPad that you can preach on a moment's notice. If I'm on my way to church and I'm in an accident and a family member is injured, I'm not coming to the pulpit. I'm going to the waiting room, because God is first, family is second, and church is third. So I would say, love your family, embrace your family. At the end of the day, all you have is family, not appointments, not connectional friends, but family. Embrace your family. Love your family. Love your family. Make sure they know that you love them. Carve out time for your family. I'm telling you, when you're doing church the right way, you don't have to decide between church and family. You don't. You don't have to decide between the two. You can fully embrace both of them. But now you can't keep your goods and your God in separate places. So family and resources and your affection for God have to be together.
I love that. Can't keep your goods and your God in separate places. I love it. That's a t-shirt right there, Bishop. Let me ask you this one last question. If you could convey one thing to our global audience on tonight, and this has been a magnanimous night, both inside Zion and, remember, we got virtual audience that outside of Zion, right? That's what we're here to do. That's what this whole thing is about, evangelism. What would that be? What would you convey to your audience on tonight? Last words.
I would simply say this. God honors faithfulness, and faithfulness honors God. You can't give to God more than God will give to you, not financially and not in terms of service. We used to sing years ago, "You can't beat God's giving." And we thought they were talking about money. We didn't know it wasn't just about money, but you can't beat God in giving anything, in giving time, in giving talent, in giving treasure, in giving anointing, in giving presence, in giving service, or in giving faithfulness. God honors faithfulness, and faithfulness honors God.
All right, I'm gonna have to clip that last part right there and put that in a commercial of some sort. Maybe that'll be the thing that we open up with one of our upcoming live videos or something. But that was amazing, Bishop. This has been such a blessing to me. I know you blessed all the people that are watching online. I can't even keep up with all these comments. I'm here clicking away, and I'm just praying that I'm not running the same comments over and over again. It's just so much. It's just so rich, and I thank you for carving out this time to speak to the AME Zion denomination and the world at large. Please, if you enjoyed this, please share this video, and we are going to hit Bishop with one last thing that he didn't know about. I'm gonna give y'all a rough cut to Bishop's debut for a video that we're gonna be dropping soon, which is gonna be talking about our publishing house. This is the first time he's seeing it, and again, this is a rough cut, but we're gonna we're gonna just see what y'all get. I want y'all to type in the chat if you did a good job or not. Here we go.
Hello, I'm Bishop George D. Crenshaw, and I'm coming to you as the chair of the AME Zion Publishing House. The publishing house of the AME Zion Church has you in mind when it's offering its products and literature. We have the most impressive selection of books, apparel, and church supplies like prepackaged communion for your worship and learning experience. You can purchase both online or in person at the AME Zion headquarters in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's time to make the choice to support the Freedom Church today and buy Zion. So connect with us today. Give us a call at 704-688-2542 or visit us on our website at amezpublishinghouse.org. You'll be happy you did. Yes, buy Zion at the AMEZ store online and in Charlotte, North Carolina. But don't just stop there with your love of the experience. Tell a friend or family member that we are here and ready to serve the church at large with all of their church needs.
Okay. What y'all think? Drop it in the chat. How did he do? Let him know and speak to him just like his kids speak to him. Be real, straight out the gate. I know your kids are gonna be like, "Hey, Dad, you could have gave a little bit more effort on the buy Zion part." Now, oh look, they're coming in now. We got good jobs. We got five stars here. All right. I think some people are gonna buy Zion moving forward. All right, Bishop, I don't want to keep you any longer. This has been rich. You have any other parting words, and then I'll close it on out.
Well, thank you for inviting me to come and to share. And I thank God for the privilege of serving the greatest church in the world, the African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church.
Amen. Thank you, Bishop. Wow. We want to thank our virtual audience for watching on tonight. Whether you're a Zionite or just a spectator on tonight, we hope that this programming has been informative enough for you to share this with your loved ones and prepare to follow us in the future for more programming just like this. Now, on June 2nd, we will have a virtual discussion, and we're going to be speaking about Alzheimer's. All right. I know that I think it's Alzheimer's Awareness Month that's coming up in June, and we want to kick it right off with that and the answers to questions around that topic. So look forward to that live that's coming up. You're going to get a graphic, and you'll be able to see that and share that moving forward. And then on June 7th, let's see if I could grab the graphic here really quick. Here it is. On June 7th, we have our inaugural series entitled Media Minds, where you will join me and the top media professionals as we take various tech concepts and make it practical for you to implement in your various ministries and lives. You're going to want to join us on the 7th because I'll be giving you access to some good platforms that will help you in your virtual space that you're currently in. So I'm personally looking forward to this on the 7th. Please join me. Please share the flyer. And we're going to be doing this every Tuesday, every first first Tuesday of the month at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will make the adjustment if we ever bring anybody in from overseas to talk, and we might pivot as far as that time is concerned, just to accommodate our global platform that we're on right now. And I'll say this lastly, as a sneak peek, I can announce that our featured bishop for the month of June is going to be Bishop Yu Effiong, Presiding Prelate of the Eastern West Africa District on the month of June. Okay, so remember that. Again, you'll see a flyer that's coming out moving forward and be able to share that. Look forward to that discussion. And we thank Bishop Effiong for agreeing to be our featured bishop in the month of June. Please take the time to subscribe to the Star of Zion. I wish I could get a scroll up here at the same time. Let's see here. There we go. Now, the price is just $38 for a yearly subscription, and that's for 12 issues, and you can get that in either print or digital. The price sustains the print version, but it also helps to what we're doing here with programming just like this. So if we get more money, we can start to do more and more programming just like this. So if you love this on today, just again, share it, talk about it, but also what we really support is if you share the paper, subscribe today. $38, it's not a lot of money. I don't know what that equates to per issue, but it's really not a lot, and it's for a whole year. And I think we've been doing a better job at getting it out on time and being able to share the good stuff going around Zion in a great manner moving forward. So again, I thank you, family, for the opportunity to serve in this capacity. My name is Darren Kent, and I'm the editor-in-chief for the Star of Zion. This has been the latest edition of When Freedom Speaks, and we have had Bishop George D. Crenshaw on tonight. Thank you, Bishop Crenshaw, for everything that you've given to this church and to the people on tonight. Thank you for joining us. Everybody have a great night.